I got good news for you raw doggers out there. And before you get mad at me for using such a term, no, I wasn't aware what sports betting raw doggers were. That means that you only give simple bets that are on every sports book and every person who operates anything that resembles a sports book. That usually means sides, money lines, puck lines, and over-unders. That's it. No fancy. Don't tell me over 1.5 here. I don't have time for all that. I come here. I don't want to learn anything. I just want to see names. I put them down on a piece of paper, and then I hand it to somebody, and that's why I come to these videos. Well, raw doggers, you're not going to need any protection today because I got some raw dog picks for you. Okay? Does that sound good? Not only do I have raw dog picks for you, but I got raw dog deals for you. Caesars Sportsbook, $1,000 risk-free bet for anybody who wants to make a same game parlay, even if you're not a raw dogger and you want to use protection and knock down those heavy favorites with a same game parlay. You can do that over at Caesars, and your first bet's going to be risk-free as long as you're a new user over there, over 21, and you're located in a state or province where sports betting is permitted. But as always, I shouldn't have to remind you, if you or anybody you know has a problem, make sure you call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. I don't know if Stevie Bong Rips is a raw dogger, but he's going to be happy today. He wasn't happy yesterday, probably. I said, I'm not buying the Leafs. Hey, just because I'm not buying a house long term, maybe I don't want to live in Maine, but it doesn't mean I won't go up there for a weekend, especially during the fall. But then again, it's probably already winter up there. I'm taking the Detroit Red Wings at home against the Florida Panthers. This isn't even my favorite pick. I just feel bad. I feel like Stevie Bong Rips, he shut me off yesterday. So I want to let him know, and this isn't just because this really has to do with the Florida Panthers. I'm not impressed with the Florida Panthers. I'm not. They're missing 2 of their top 4 defensemen. I mean, if you said that about any team, do you imagine if you're missing 2 of your top 6 defensemen and they're not scoring in bunches? With the Panthers, they kind of need to overcome some of their defensive, deficiencies by scoring. And they're not really clicking on all cylinders just yet. And I think Detroit's set up well. They had that rough little patch there, but that comeback win against the Islanders, I think, will set them up well in this next home game. We know how great they were playing at home. There's no shame to go on the road and lose to Boston. We'll talk about them in a second. No shame in that. Came back against the Islanders. We're talking about one relatively tough home loss against Winnipeg. Outside of that, I think they're still playing relatively well. I'll take the Detroit Red Wings. Next up is going to be a formula bet. If you're a team who's laden with veterans and you played last night and you have to get back on the ice the very next night, especially if it's going to be with your backup goalie, I don't care who you are, I'm betting against you, and that's who the Dallas Stars were. They had a rough go of it. That game may not have been a rat, but it was pretty damn close. 4-3. I mean, Calgary had like 45 shots on goal. Pretty exhausting game to hold on to if you're Dallas. Now they're getting on the ice the next night in Edmonton, where Edmonton's coming off that win in the Heritage Classic. Little something to get excited about. And I think this one sets up very well for Edmonton. Edmonton's probably my favorite play on the night. You're getting a good price because of the poor start that they've had. McDavid, I doubt that McDavid played in the Heritage Classic and then he's just going back to being injured. Pretty sure he's going to play again, so I will take the Edmonton Oilers to win against the Dallas Stars, who only have 1 regulation loss on the year, but I think you got to pick your spots wisely. This is a good spot to bet against the Stars. They have many veterans on that team. Think about the Pavelski, Ben, Sagan, Duchesne, Suter, so many of them. And I think that hurts them in the second half of back-to-backs on the road traveling. And just one of my formulas, and I'll stick with it. Give me the Edmonton Oilers. I talked about the Bruins. No shame in Detroit losing to Boston over there. They've pretty much controlled everyone over there. Now, sometimes there's a positive when you take a loss. The other night, we took a loss with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are prone to the mail-in. The good news about a mail-in is after an embarrassment, and you guys are seeing this with many teams this year, everyone from the Sabres to whoever it may be, you put out an embarrassing performance, you're getting a good effort from them. And also Toronto typically plays up to their competition. Many times I've talked about Boston. We took them the other night. We took the Rat the other night against Florida. They haven't had true stiff competition. They have not played many playoff teams at all. And it is admirable to beat all the lesser teams. But coming off that loss, and Boston, you know, they showed like, they had to fight back and won in overtime against the Panthers. I think they're set up to take their first loss, probably in regulation too. We have the Leafs as underdogs. I think that's a great price. I'm taking the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just like in football, if someone screws me, I'm coming for this money, and I'm coming for the money that they owe me from the other night. So give me the Toronto Maple Leafs as one of my favorite plays as well. There's a team that's just, they're awful. They are awful. I've told you they're awful for years. The way the NHL is, you can scrounge a couple wins if the opponents are right. And that's Washington. They truly are awful. I don't care. Don't say, no, they're awful. You trust me when I tell you. The problem is the Islanders are kind of one of those teams, because the Islanders aren't blowing anybody away with their speed, that Washington probably could win. I don't care. You know, that thing came out about Backstrom yesterday. You know, sorry to hear that, because he was one of the best passers I've ever seen in his prime, Nick Backstrom. He's leaving the lineup. He's going to leave for an extended absence. So I'm going with the Islanders here. It's not like the strongest feeling in the world, but I'm going to take advantage when I'm getting any sort of good price against Washington. I truly think they are beyond awful. So I'm going with the New York Islanders, but more so in this game, two teams who I don't have much faith in scoring and lighting up this score sheet. You know what I'm going to do? Let's see if this one works this time. I'm going to bump it up. I'm going to bump it up to 6.5, and we can combine that with something that I'll talk about right after this. So you hold that under 6.5. Why hold when I can just talk about it right now? The conundrum game. The Carolina Hurricanes. This one's a conundrum for two reasons. Number one, the Hurricanes, I said they were going to win those two at home and start to turn that around. I said last week, before they got home, that was the low point of their season. That shutout versus Tampa, that's the low point of their season. They had a couple wins at home, a nice win against the Philadelphia Flyers on the road. Almost any other team, I'd rather them be playing a better team than the Rangers. The Rangers have had their number since that playoff series. They've won like 7 out of the last 8 or something like that. The power play, for whatever reason, murders the Canes. But I really like how the Canes are playing. The Rangers have sent me enough warning. They can be outplayed and just win games. That combo of the power play and Shesterkin, I don't know if they're going to win, because I see Carolina as a team that's ascending, and they know that the Rangers have always cracked them. I imagine they're going to be very up for this one. Last time we saw the Rangers at the Garden, they got cracked by the Predators. So what I'm going to do is ride that hot hand on the Rangers. I'm going to take that Panarin point. He's playing so incredible right now, and I'm going to pair that with the under 6.5 from the Islanders Washington game that we bumped up. I know the Raw Doggers pissed off, but I just gave you a couple of straight picks right there. Those were a couple right there. Let's relax. Let's take it easy. Chill for a sec. Okay? There were plenty in there before I gave you those props. If you want a sniff prop on the night, I'm going with Tomas Hertl registering a point against Vancouver. Many times I said, hey, two bad teams play each other. You can kind of go under in a lot of those. But if the right bad teams play each other, and I literally used the example Sharks and Vancouver. We've started to see these Vancouver games go over. Last one over, one before against Rangers over. Now on the road, where they're more susceptible, you know, with not having last change and whatnot. This is not some defensively responsible team too much. This is one that can go over, and as always, if a game like this is going to go over, this is a great time to utilize the same game parlays. So give me the over 6.5 with a hurdle point, and then we can take Quinn Hughes on the other side, and that will be a nice same game parlay to end the day. All right, everybody, good luck to you. Better luck to me. Make sure you check out the Thursday Night Football video that we released. You know, I got a nice couple Pirates parlays in there as well. Subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel here. We'll have Francis and Friends tomorrow afternoon. We got Picking Corners on my YouTube channel. You know, it's Francis Fridays. I got shows across the board. I'm even dropping an episode of my comedy podcast. I got a lot of stuff. Late in the week, you got a lot of stuff coming from me. Hopefully you guys enjoy all of it. I always enjoy performing for you. I will see you guys tomorrow for all that good stuff. Take it easy.